But the most important thing is looking toward the future. The last barrier we got to take down is we got to be able to educate and train all Americans for the job they need, and they can't be bankrupted trying to get it. So Hillary proposes, I think the only area where she actually proposes to spend more money and tells you how you'll get it, is in the training and job placement of young people who don't have four-year college degrees but can get their jobs. She proposes debt-free education for people who go to public colleges, historically black colleges and universities, and other private small schools that have modest tuition, high graduation rates, deal with first and second generation Americans of all kinds. By asking people to pay higher taxes to pay for all the tuition plus the expenses of people who are in lower incomes. Offering people who need some help but not complete help the opportunity to do 10 hours of study work a month. It's the only proposal that will hold down college costs. By having students doing a lot of this work, and then asking upper income people to pay their kids on tuition. Our opponent says, no, we ought to give free tuition in all public schools to everybody. And yesterday there was an article on the internet, you can look it up on Vox, that says there's a real problem with this because the states have to match a third of the money. And the states have all been, even in New York and California, which have Democratic governments, because of the financial problems and the obligation to fund the public schools, they've had trouble funding the colleges. In a lot of other states, they've made it a sport to cut back on higher education. So, if a lot of these states wouldn't even take the Medicaid expansion, where it was 90% federally funded and 10% matched, why in the world will they take the college aid when they got to come up with a third? And her opponent says, well, if that happens, they'll just leave the state they're living in and go to another state. The problem is, then they're out-of-state tuition students and they don't get the tuition aid. It really matters. The details matter. I know people think they don't. They do. When you take responsibility, something works or it doesn't.